I want people to understand that I am a victim, not a freak. I knew if the storm broke, the pain would come, but I had to get out of my apartment. This was a week ago, last Monday. As I hurried down the street, I tried to look like I was one more person going to the store, or to meet friends for a drink, or maybe heading out for a date. I tried to look like the thing I most wanted to be in the world: ordinary. I have complex regional pain syndrome. When I was a teenager, I suffered serious injuries to both my hands. Injury causes this syndrome to develop, and since then, even the slightest touch to the skin of my right hand causes intense pain. It basically feels like my hand is burning. Before I left my apartment, I had checked the weather forecast online, and the old-fashioned way, staring out of the window at the sky. An obscuring covering of dark clouds drifted slowly by. It looked like rain. There are of course steps I can take to protect myself. I have a base layer right glove, and an outer waterproof one, both were expensive and high spec. It's not just touch I have to be afraid of though. The rain did begin to fall, and although my skin was physically shielded from it, there was nothing I could do about the change in the temperature that came with the storm breaking. This is another of my triggers because of the syndrome. I winced as the pain kicked in as it became a few degrees cooler, and my right hand began to feel as though it was being dipped in flame. If anyone is reading this, I guess it's fair enough to ask why I had chosen to go out on the eve of a storm. The answer: because I needed my pain meds, and I had run out. The only drugs that would truly do the job for me are illegal and addictive. The ones I had been prescribed only fall into the latter category. I don't beat myself up about this. Without the pain meds, I would not be able to cope even at the low level. My life is garbage the way I do. This is the bottom line as far as I see things. So there I was, hurrying through the rain on my way to the pharmacy. It was still light out, I was fine for the time. It was with a degree of relief that I walked up to the door of the pharmacy, stepped inside. The pharmacy was quiet. I could hear the hum of an aircon, and readied myself for the fresh pain the difference in temperature outside and inside would bring. The staff all know me, and quickly and efficiently brought my meds to the counter. I said thank you, and turned to leave. I noticed a young man standing by the door. I wondered, had he been watching me as I collected my meds? Paranoia is not a symptom of complex regional pain syndrome, but what's that old saying? It doesn't mean they're not out to get you. I don't live in a good neighborhood, and as I walked, I was acutely aware that dusk had crept up on me. I was so fixed on getting my meds, that I had not kept track of time. Many of the street lamps that should have been coming on were broken. In the ones that worked, I could see insects gathering in clusters, the rain glinting. The few other people out were all keeping their eyes firmly on the ground. Most had headphones on. People don't come to your aid round here, and I don't blame them. I could hear footsteps behind me. Sweat began to prickle my skin, and I gasped as a little trickled down my arm under the protective layer of my gloves, and onto the skin of my right hand, and brought fresh pain. I glanced around, there were no other people at all now. Just me and my shadow, the man from the pharmacy. I did not dare turn around to check, but I knew in my guts that it was him. I was not naive, but I had been stupid. When you take collection of the meds I have, it is advisable to keep the label on the box hidden. Otherwise it is like pollen to the bee. A siren's call. Call it what you will. I did not know the man's story, why he wanted the drugs. Most likely because he was also an addict. Or he knew he could get a good price for them on the street. Either way, I was in trouble. Cold fear rippled through my body. My hand screamed with new pain, as my own body temperature changed. I wanted to walk faster, but the more scared I became, the more helpless I felt. I swore to myself. I felt something touch me in the back. A voice behind me said, "Bud, I've got a knife, just give me your gear and this does not have to end badly for you." I swore so quietly, it was more an exhalation than a word. I looked up at the sky, into the rain, desperately trying to think what to do, when I saw a break in the clouds. A separation, and in the gap, the light of the moon. I tensed. My entire body felt like it was rippling as it began. As my face twisted, as my skin became a matted tangle, I turned and bared my fangs at the man who believed moments before that I was easy prey. I didn't tell you what the injuries were to my hands. When I was 16, I fell from my bicycle, and impaled my right hand on the spike of an iron gatepost. This caused my complex regional pain syndrome. When I was 17, I was bitten on my left hand by a lycanthrope. The man who had tried to steal my meds ran and didn't look back. I looked up at the moon, snarled at it, at the power it held over me. Then walked home, keeping to the back streets. Keeping out of sight. Always out of sight.